And to my final topic, Fairtrade Fortnight is currently in full swing, with this year's theme, the Be the Change campaign, taking centre stage. The campaign aims to highlight the power of ethical consumerism and its impact on improving the lives of farmers and workers in Africa. With a particular focus on African farmers and their communities, the campaign seeks to raise awareness about the positive changes that fair trade can bring and the role that individuals and governments can play in supporting fairer trade practices. Well, for more on this, I'm now being joined by Mike Gidney, the CEO of Fairtrade Foundation, who joins me from Suffolk. Mike Gidney, thank you so much for taking your time out to speak with us today. So Fairtrade Fortnight is currently underway. I think we've got a couple of days left. And your Be the Change campaign is at the forefront of the initiative. Could you tell us more about the project, its aims and what it hopes to achieve, particularly in the context of African farmers and communities?
Sure. Well, fair trade is all about getting a better deal for the men and women who grow the food and the drink products we all rely on all around the world every day. Of course, many of them are in Africa. So I'm talking about people who grow coffee, tea, sugar, cotton, all kinds of staples. Very, very often, farmers around the world suffer from low pricing and poverty and all of the challenges that go along with that. And fair trade is all about tackling that. We do that through setting robust standards, paying a fair price, setting high environmental standards. And we also do it by bringing together consumers around the world and farmers. So Fairtrade Fortnight in the UK is a showpiece where we do this every year, and we talk about the need for everybody to get behind fair trade. And Be the Change is exactly what it says. Our campaign this year is everybody can be the change, whether you're a farmer, whether you're a business, whether you're a consumer, by looking for fair trade and working with fair trade.
Absolutely. I've got to tell you, Mike, especially for viewers in the UK anyway, fair trade is such a household name. It's been going for about 30 years now. I'm certainly familiar with it. How has it evolved in terms of the initiative over the past 30 years? Because so much has happened during that time in terms of geopolitics and what the world agenda is basically focused on, not necessarily farmers. Are people still taking the project seriously?
I mean, you're absolutely right. It is a household name now, and that's really testament to the commitment of so many different players right across businesses and consumers, as well as the farmers themselves. There are now 5,000 fair trade products available in the UK, and we work with 2 million farmers in 75 countries. Actually, more than a million of them are in Africa, and so the constant there has been really strong public support over the last 30 years. But you're completely right. Lots has changed. So as the world has changed, so fair trade has changed. And a number of things that are just really relevant, I think. One is fair trade is the only certification scheme which is co-owned by the farmers themselves. So as I was saying, more than 1 million farmers in Africa are part of fair trade. They, through Fairtrade Africa, which is the continental network based out of Nairobi, they have a say in how fair trade standards and strategy all around the world is shaped. But equally, we are now working not just in terms of certifying products, but also programs to tackle with farmers those long-term endemic problems, tackling the climate crisis, tackling women's economic empowerment. There's fantastic work going on at the farm level right across Africa and other parts of the world too.
Well, a lot of African leaders will be heading to Manhattan this weekend for, of course, UN General Assembly, particularly where it comes from a Nigerian point of view. Food security, a major issue. Inflation is skyrocketing high. Sometimes, Mike, a lot of the messaging can be lost in the headline. Can you just talk to me about the day-to-day aspects of how some of these premiums, how Fairtrade Fortnight does actually impact farmers on a day-to-day basis rather than just the big broad messages? How does it help them with their harvest?
I mean, it's transformative, right? This is the principle of paying farmers fairly. That's all we're really calling for, but it's been forgotten for so long, maybe centuries. And if you pay farmers fairly, what happens? They start to transform their communities. So you mentioned food security. We know of farmers, cotton farmers in Mali, We know of sugar farmers in Malawi who have used Fairtrade premiums to hedge against the price of maize and to stockpile maize and distribute it for food security to their members. We know of flour farmers in Kenya who have used the extra value they get from Fairtrade to build the first maternity hospital in the area in Naivasha where the flowers are grown in the Rift Valley in Kenya. What that's done over the last 10 years has created more than 14,000 live births, which weren't happening before. So, an amazing transformation. And it's just because you give power and money to the farmers. Of course, they look after their land, they look after their communities.
Absolutely. We know that it, of course, trickles down to the community and their loved ones and those who have access to it. We're running out of time, Mike, but I've got to talk to you about the new Labour administration. Of course, we know that we're having this conversation in the UK. A large number of UK consumers do look out for fair trade products when they're doing their shop. I know I do. How are you hoping your Be the Change campaign can be implemented by MPs, policymakers in the UK? What are you thinking about Keir Starmer and his stance on Africa and fair trade?
It's a really good point. It really does take all of us to bring about this change. So we know farmers are engaged, we know consumers are engaged, and we know businesses are engaged. Government has a role to play as well. We cannot all of us do it on our own. So it's great that we have a new administration in the UK. They've come into power on a mandate of change. We're saying they can also be part of the change by creating trade rules that respect human rights, that respect environmental standards, and that really try and put farmers back in the spotlight where they belong.
Lastly, Mike, we've got a lot of people watching in Nigeria and across the continent. What message would you like to convey to farmers and producers about the importance of fair trade? And most importantly, how can they get involved?
So farmers will speak for themselves. There's ample evidence to show how much fair trade can make a difference to farming communities. But increasingly, this is becoming global. This is not just a south-north export anymore. Across Africa, there are fair trade certified products. So as a consumer, wherever you are in the world, look for the little blue and green and black fair trade mark. It really makes a difference. If you're a business, get involved. We can all of us be the change.
Thank you. Mike Gidney, who is the CEO of the Fairtrade Foundation, talking to me about the Fairtrade Fortnight Be Your Change campaign, which is currently underway. Thank you so much for your expertise today, Mike.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.